Okay, hello and welcome back again, my friends. First of all, my name is Beslin Petrus Amenta and my student ID number is 20030500049. And
Hello friend, my name is Muhammad Nur Arif. My student ID number 20030500069. English Education Kawan.
this time we will explain for you the development of animal psychology handbook based on scientific approach for students at biology program that have been written by Dian Putri. So the introduction. The introduction is the practical activity is a teaching and learning activity that aims to strengthen student knowledge of subject matter through application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation of the theory being studied. So both in the laboratory and in the field. The practical activities not only prove the theory that student learns, but also serve to train and improve the scientific process. So the aim of animal psychology lectures is for students to be able to master the theoretical concepts of animal psychology of vertebrate animal in general and to master animal psychology in depth. Based on the result of the practical questionnaire on the odd handbook, it was found that the handbook used was not able to help explain abstract subject concepts and the practitioner could not fully report the results of the practicum in accordance with scientific steps, such as making observation, formulating problems, collecting data, and draw conclusion. And so this is the result from 23.3% of the respondents' answer. As many as 20% of respondents' answer also stated that the handbook did not yet have the use of language that was easy to understand. 16.6% of the respondents answered that the handbook did not have an easy to understand work order, and 13.3% of the respondents answer stated that the practitioner did not have initial knowledge or readiness. So the result of the above research, a scientific approach is included so that students know, understand, and build knowledge through scientific means. This is when studied further. We'll find a slice between the task of the students and the task of the teacher in the scientific approach. So on the one hand, the student must perform process skills which is in K13 are translated into 5M, namely observing, asking, trying, associating, and the last is communicating.
So, the development of a practical building framework competency assessment sits for student cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain was carried out. The result of the prototype 1 are then reviewed by the user, whether they are in accordance with the component contained in the handbook and are ready to be tested for fidelity by experts so as to produce prototype 2. Phase. The assessment stage aim to produce a product in the form of a practical and effective handbook based on a scientific approach. Quality data were obtained from the result of discussion, observation of the practicum process, and interview with lecturer in the animal physiology course and student of the Department of Biology at UIN Raden Patah, Palembang. Quantitative data were obtained from the result of practical questionnaires filled out by students. The lecture in the animal physiology course at the small group, stick and field tests. Observation sheets filled out by observation during practical activities to see the achievement of affective and psychomotor competencies and learning outcome tests conducted by students.
So this time I'll explain for you about Plum development model and practical activities. The Plum development model. So the data that collected from this study is where the result of the validation, practically and effectiveness of the handbook. And second is practical activities. So this result is student not having a reference to achieve completeness criteria in practical activities. So the learning outcomes that have been developed in accordance with the demands of the Indonesian National Qualification Framework, psychology practicum on the subject matter. At this stage, the researcher or the writer designs an animal psychology handbook based on the scientific approach.
Indicator score category. The link of the customary indicator is in approach with the statement item in the questionnaire. The statement used include aspects the content validity of handbook based on scientific approach 3. The one-to-one test was carried out by asking the responses of 8 students to 8 suggestions for improvement after making improved revision to handbook. The small group that was continued to get suggestions for improvement to the handbook that was development. The small group that was concluded on 16 students. The result of the practical assessment assessed by the lecturer and the result of the practical assessment using a scientific approach based on animal physiology lab with all very practical. The handbook is declared valid because it has available four aspects, namely detected, control, technical, and linguistic aspect. The animal physiology protection good based on a scientific approach how fully full the discounted aspect because the theoretical basic in the practicum would support the achievement of indicator and learning objective, support concept, understanding and content picture which help students in understand the material. One is the use of the handbook. 3. The particulars is in the term of a questionnaire file of by subject, texture and spectrum supervisor after carrying out practical activities.
So the writer Dian Putri from the analysis of the practically test questionnaire assessed by the students, it can be concluded that the practically average value of the students is 3.25 in the practical category. So this is means that the animal psychology handbook that can facilitate students in practical activities. Useful of time allocation are easily interpreted by students and have the same equivalence as the practicum used in tertiary institutions. Okay, based on the results of the development research that has been carried out, produce a scientific approach based animal psychology handbook that valid, practical, and effective. So the scientific approach based animal psychology handbook can hone science skills and improve the students' thinking skills. So this handbook can be used by lecturers and students in implementation of the practicum because it has been valid, practical, and effective and can allow simultaneous assessments of cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. And this research can be used as teaching material to be used in the implementation of activities of animal in psychology practicum at university. Because the handbook of animal psychology based on scientific approach can improve cognitive, affective, and psychomotor competencies of students. So the things that must be considered in the developing a practical guide is the validity, practically and effectiveness of the developed guide. That this is because it will determine the quality of the handbooks that are prepared. So that's all for our explanation about the development of animal psychology handbook based on scientific approach from students at biology program that have been written by Dian Putri. And thank you for